All right, so, you're in the middle of something, right? And you realize, oh, I need that thing,
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? And your mind goes to that future where it's like, boom, drone drops it off.
Drone delivery, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're diving into today. The reality of drone delivery.
Exactly.
So like moving beyond the kind of the fantasy sci-fi stuff and like what's actually going on.
Right. And I think the important thing here is that you are here to get smart on this topic quickly and thoroughly.
Perfect.
That's the whole point of this deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to do that. We're going to get you well informed on drone delivery by looking at what the evidence says about the state of it today.
Exactly. And our source material, found some think surprising stuff. There's a healthy dose of skepticism out there, even around the big players, Amazon. Yeah. I mean, you think about a drone hovering 15 feet up and just dropping your package.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of questions about potential for damage there.
Absolutely.
Not to mention the noise and just the size of the things.
Yeah, you're limited in what you can deliver
Yeah.
if it has to be carried by a drone that big.
Right. Exactly.
So that's a really interesting thing to explore, and it's really the question that our source was grappling with. Is drone delivery really practical now, or is it still kind of a hope for the future?
Yeah, it's a great question. And speaking of getting some answers, get ready for a real aha moment here.
Okay.
Because while some of these big companies, these tech companies, seem to be struggling with it, we uncovered this company, Zipline,
Oh, wow.
and they seem to be operating on a whole other level
Okay.
of sophistication and success.
Interesting.
So let's get into that.
Yeah, so first, we kind of have to talk about what you might assume about drone delivery.
Right.
Because given all this buzz and all these big companies investing money, you might think that, the services are pretty widespread.
Right.
But you probably haven't seen a lot of drones dropping stuff off.
No.
Our source certainly hadn't. They looked into it. And it turns out that, even from Amazon, Alphabet Swing, these companies that are really investing in this,
Yeah.
they're not really operating in that many places.
Right. And the source looked into Amazon specifically, and the testing that they're doing just doesn't seem all that smooth.
Oh, okay.
I mean, can you imagine your package just getting dropped from basically the first floor window?
Oh, wow.
The potential for damage and the noise, like a big drone making that much noise that close to the ground.
Right.
It's not ideal, is it?
It doesn't sound ideal.
And of course, the size of the drone limits, what they can carry. So
Yeah.
So they're kind of struggling with that, it seems.
It seems like they are. And it's not just Amazon.
Right.
The source also looked into Alphabet's Wing.
Okay.
And, they have this website, and it looks really promising. But the source tried all these different addresses, tried to find a place where the service was operating.
Right.
Couldn't find a single one.
Wow. Okay. So that kind of makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
If these tech giants are hitting these hurdles, is this even viable?
Right.
Is drone delivery something we should expect to see in our everyday lives?
That's right. But then the source starts to think about, well, hold on.
Yeah.
There might be some specific situations where it does make sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, this is where the aha moments started coming.
Exactly.
So what were some of the situations? What are we talking about here?
So when you start to think about really specific needs,
Okay.
that's when you can really start to see the potential for drone delivery.
Okay.
So think about the scenarios that the source talked about.
Yeah.
Think about a new parent.
Okay.
They're at home with a newborn, and suddenly
They're out of formula.
out of formula.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
Challenge. Yeah.
Big problem. If you can get that delivered quickly
Right.
by drone, I mean, that could be a lifesaver.
Right. Absolutely. Or someone in a remote area needs first aid.
Right.
And, getting a car there is going to take a long time. A helicopter is overkill.
Wow.
So there's definitely some very specific needs there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's not forget about the everyday things.
Yeah.
The convenience, food delivery. I mean, does it make sense to dispatch a whole car and a driver
Yeah.
just to deliver a sandwich?
Right.
So in these more contained use cases,
Yeah.
the advantages become pretty clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this leads us to Zipline. this company that our source found that really, really seems to be ahead of the game in a lot of ways.
So they're actually doing drone delivery.
Yeah, they're doing it. And they're doing it at scale. And with technology that's surprisingly, more advanced than what we've seen from some of the bigger companies.
So are we talking about like the Amazons and the Alphabet?
Yeah. This was a genuine surprise for our source to to uncover this company.
I bet.
So let's dive into how they're doing this. So let's talk about their first generation, which they call Platform 1.
Okay.
And the source described it as more akin to like a small fixed wing aircraft.
Oh, wow.
Like a little plane, basically.
Okay.
That flies itself
Autonomously.
Yeah,
Oh.
using computers and sensors and whatnot, and the way it operates was kind of insane, frankly.
Okay.
So it was actually assembled at the launch site,
Oh, wow.
and customized, for whatever the cargo was.
Okay.
And the launch itself was crazy.
How did they launch it?
Giant slingshot.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
0 to 60 in a quarter of a second.
That's insane.
Yeah. And the delivery method was equally unconventional.
Okay, so we got a slingshot launch. How does it deliver?
So instead of landing,
Okay.
it would just release the cargo using a parachute.
What?
Yeah, and then to return, it was actually caught midair with a hook and wire system.
Hold on. So they launched this thing out of a slingshot.
Yeah.
It drops the cargo via parachute.
Uh-huh.
And then it comes back and they catch it with a hook and wire.
Yeah, almost like a carrier landing,
That's more like something out of a spy movie.
Yeah.
Than a delivery service.
It does. It sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy.
But it worked.
It worked.
And it really, what's really amazing is that since 2016 they've been using this in Rwanda.
Oh, wow.
To deliver blood and medical supplies.
Wow.
To hospitals.
So this isn't just like a tech demo.
No.
This is an actual service.
Yeah.
That's saving lives.
Yeah. The source emphasizes that this has saved thousands of lives.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so the impact of this is huge.
Absolutely. And I mean, that must be really satisfying.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
just to think about the impact that this technology is having.
And you can actually, there's videos from channels like Real Engineering and Mark Rober that show you how the system works.
Oh, cool. So we can actually see it in action.
Yeah, it's really something else. But Zipline didn't stop there.
Right.
Their current generation, Platform 2, is described as the quote most advanced drone delivery we've ever seen.
Wow. All right. So what's so special about this one?
So this is a big step forward. It combines the efficiency of a fixed wing for the longer distance travel.
Okay.
With articulating propellers.
Okay.
That allow for vertical takeoff and landing.
Oh, so it's like a hybrid?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's got the best of both worlds. And then they have what they call the Zip Droid, which is a smaller unit that actually detaches from the main drone to carry out the final precise delivery.
Okay.
And the source also pointed out that like the P2 drone itself, the main drone, is just really well designed.
I love it.
It's lightweight, it's strong.
Okay.
They're using materials like styrofoam, carbon fiber.
So they're really thinking about keeping that weight down.
Absolutely. So that they can, maximize flight time and how much they can carry.
Yeah.
And then the Zip Droid itself is pretty remarkable too.
Yeah.
Only weighs about 5 pounds.
Wow, that's tiny.
But it's packed with technology.
Okay.
So it's got a carbon fiber structure, it's got sliding doors that actually form the delivery platform.
Oh, wow.
And it's got these integrated thrusters that allow it to maneuver and orient itself.
So it can really get into those tight spots.
Exactly, yeah.
That's cool.
And the source actually got to witness a delivery firsthand.
They did.
So we can really get a sense of what this looks like in action.
Awesome. So paint us a picture. What was it like?
So the main drone, it flies at about 100 meters, which is roughly the height of a football field.
Okay.
So not super loud. It's pretty quiet up there.
Okay.
And it uses GPS to navigate to the delivery area.
Right.
And then once it reaches that area, the Zip Droid detaches and rapidly descends.
On a tether.
On a tether, yeah.
Wow.
And it uses sensors to scan the ground.
So you can see what's down there?
Yeah, kind of like a self-driving car would.
Oh, so it can avoid obstacles.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
And the source even mentioned that like it was able to avoid a
A
dog.
dog.
Yeah, the dog wandered into the landing area.
Oh, wow.
So it can react to things in real time.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And then the droid just gently lowers the package,
Okay.
which in this case was a forgotten power bank. And then it gets reeled back up
Okay.
like a fishing line.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And so that experience really kind of brought this to life for our source.
Right.
And I think it probably brings it to life for you listening, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it does bring up some questions.
Worse. Yeah,
Concerns, maybe.
absolutely.
And the source had those same questions.
Yes.
And they addressed them. They got some answers. And this is really insightful stuff.
Okay, so what were the questions? What are we talking about?
So let's start with noise,
Yeah.
because I think that's probably the first thing that comes to mind
Yeah.
when you think about drones flying overhead.
Right. Nobody wants to be constantly buzzed, right?
Exactly. And this is something that Zipline has put a lot of effort into,
Okay.
what they call acoustical engineering,
Okay.
basically the science of sound,
Right.
figuring out how to make these things quieter.
Okay.
They have teams of engineers that are working on designing quieter propellers.
Wow.
And they're developing these algorithms, these software programs, basically,
Right.
that control how fast the propellers spin.
Okay.
During different phases of flight to reduce certain frequencies, they call them harmonics,
Okay.
that are particularly annoying.
Right.
So you combine that with the fact that the drone is flying pretty high
Yeah.
and that the delivery part is pretty quick.
Right.
And overall, the operation is actually surprisingly quiet.
Okay, so quieter than your average, consumer drone.
Way quieter, especially if you compare it to like the smaller drones that you might see buzzing around.
Right. Okay. What about delivery time?
Right, that's a big one,
Mm.
especially if we're thinking about things like food delivery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so the source breaks this down pretty well. Obviously the initial time it takes the restaurant to prepare the food,
Yeah. Correct.
that's still going to be a factor.
right.
But Zipline envisions a future where businesses might have like dedicated drone drop-off points, or like even simple structures where people could pick up their orders.
Okay. Interesting.
You wouldn't even need the droid to come all the way down to your doorstep.
Okay. So that would speed things up.
Yeah, that would definitely speed things up. But even without that, the drone's cruising speed, it's around 70 miles an hour,
Wow.
and it has a 20-mile range.
That's pretty impressive.
So in theory, if the order's ready, delivery could be as little as 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So once the order's ready, it's basically there.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. What about bad weather?
Right, because, we all know strong winds,
Yeah.
heavy rain,
Yeah.
can ground planes sometimes.
Yeah.
So how do the drones handle that?
So Zipline's drones are actually engineered to be quite robust.
Okay.
They're designed to operate in almost any weather, short of hurricane force winds.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have the cruising speed gives them enough power to handle, significant winds. And the whole system is waterproof,
Oh, wow.
like a car is. And the source even witnessed a delivery on a windy night
Okay.
successfully.
So they're really built for this.
They are, yeah.
All right, but the big one, the elephant in the room,
Yeah,
safety.
of course.
What happens if these things fall out of the sky?
Right.
That's got to be a major concern.
Yeah, of course. So that's a concern for everybody, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so Zipline has really focused on this.
Okay.
They've really tried to build in multiple layers of safety.
Okay.
So they've got redundancies for critical components, including the wiring, even the propellers.
Okay.
So the drone can actually continue to fly safely,
No.
even if it loses 2 of its propellers.
Wow.
And then the computers on board, they're constantly doing these safety checks.
Okay.
500 safety checks every second.
My goodness.
And then the drones have autonomous systems to avoid obstacles.
Right.
They can actually communicate with each other. And as a final backup, there's a parachute system.
Wow.
So they really thought this through.
They have, yeah.
And I think the most compelling evidence for that is that they've flown over 100 million miles
Wow.
with 0 reported safety incidents involving humans.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And it's not just that they're designing these things well, they're also testing them rigorously.
Okay.
So strong crosswinds, unexpected interference during delivery.
Right.
They're testing for all of that.
Wow, they've thought of everything.
Seems like they have.
So it sounds like they've taken safety very seriously.
Extremely seriously. And there's even this feature where the system can cut the tether line of the delivery droid,
Okay.
if necessary, to prevent any problems.
Wow, so it's like a last resort kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Word.
Exactly.
Wow, so beyond the individual deliveries, like what are the broader implications?
Right.
And what does the future look like for this kind of thing?
So the source highlighted a few key things.
Okay.
I think that the biggest thing is that the real value proposition for drone delivery is in these specific time-critical deliveries
Okay.
where you really need speed, you need efficiency.
Right, right.
The advantages are pretty significant.
Right.
You don't need a human driver.
Right.
It's potentially cheaper.
Yeah.
It's faster,
Quieter.
quieter. Yeah, zero emissions. And you can operate these things 24/7.
So there are a lot of advantages there.
A lot of advantages.
So why Rwanda?
Right. So the source actually explains that
Okay.
Rwanda has these really interesting geographic characteristics.
Okay.
It's a relatively small country. It's hilly.
Okay.
They get a lot of thunderstorms.
Okay.
And really importantly, the government was very open to collaborating on regulations.
Oh, okay.
So that made it like a perfect environment to test and deploy this kind of technology.
No, which is very different from, somewhere like the US,
Absolutely.
where the airspace regulations are very complex.
Yeah, it's a much more challenging environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's a really important takeaway, right?
Yeah.
Like the right environment can really make a huge difference
Absolutely. Yeah.
in terms of getting these technologies adopted.
Absolutely. What about other applications? What else can we expect to see with this kind of technology?
Well, the source talked about all kinds of things.
Okay.
Delivering forgotten items, like phone chargers, keys, to people at events.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
So it's almost like a specialized layer of logistics
Right.
that can supplement, maybe even replace
Yeah. Yeah.
traditional vehicle-based delivery
Absolutely.
for those really specific needs.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fascinating.
And I think it's really interesting that it's a smaller company like Zipline
Yeah.
that's achieved this.
Right.
Because we tend to think about, the big players.
The Amazons.
The
yeah.
Amazons, the Googles, the Alphabets.
Right.
But it's actually this smaller, more agile company that's really pushing the boundaries here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. So is there anything else? What else did the source talk about?
Well, there was one final thought that they touched on, which was that, as this technology gets more widespread,
Right.
we might start to see a lot more air traffic from drones.
Oh, okay.
And the source was kind of comparing this to,
Like visual pollution.
yeah, like visual pollution in the night sky, kind of like what we're seeing with Starlink.
Right. Right. Okay. So it's something to think about.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about
Yeah.
as this technology becomes more and more common.
So to kind of summarize everything we've talked about today,
Yeah.
drone delivery is.
It's a lot more complex
It is. Yeah.
than maybe we initially thought.
Yeah.
And in some really specific areas, it's actually a lot closer to reality
Yeah.
than many of us probably realized.
Yeah.
And companies like Zipline are really doing some amazing things
They are. Yeah.
that really go beyond
Those initial efforts.
those initial
Well, that's-
efforts
yeah.
by some of the bigger companies.
Right. Right. It's been a series of aha moments, I think, for all of us.
Absolutely.
Seeing this technology in action and the impact it's having, especially in places like Rwanda, where they're delivering these vital medical supplies.
Absolutely.
So I guess the question for everyone listening is, now that you understand what's possible
Yeah.
and the limitations,
Right.
what other unexpected scenarios do you think this technology could revolutionize?
Yeah. What's the next big thing for drone delivery?
What's next?
What
Yeah.
what hasn't even been thought of yet?
Right. Yeah. And it's clearly a rapidly evolving field.
It is.
And the reality of this is probably going to be much more targeted and sophisticated
I think so.
than just like these broad futuristic visions that we've been, exposed to.
Yeah, it's not just going to be pizza showing up at your door.
Right, exactly. Well, it's been a fascinating dive
Yes.
into drone delivery today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see everyone on the next deep dive.
Looking forward to it.